Hi, I'm Larry West, chairman of NB West Contracting Company. My father started the business in 1956, and he actively ran the business until the early 1980s, and that's when I took over being president of West Contracting. I've been president until about 7 or 8 years ago when I made Jim Fitzgerald president. He ran it for 7 years, and then now Christopher, my son, oldest son, is running the business, and he's been running it for the last couple years. And I'm I'm chairman. I'm kind of sitting way in the back, and I'm not active in the day-to-day operations at all at this time.
I'm doing okay, right?
So far,
My name's Chris West, third generation family member running West Contracting now. I grew up like my father working in the business. It's not an easy business by any means, whether you're in the field or in the office, just all the different things we do. Yeah, I think I'm fortunate to be where I am, and I take what I do very seriously. And I think something that, all of us have taken very seriously is keeping people busy, giving them the right tools, and providing food on the table, but also a good life for those that work for us. We've got one mission to continue the business and continue growing it, and people are what help us get there.
I just remember when Mom and Dad went into business. It was right after Eisenhower signed the federal highway bill where they were going to build interstates all over the United States. And Dad saw the opportunity that the big contractors at that time were going to go ahead after the highway work, and that left a void for the driveways and small parking lots of the
More commercial work and
commercial work in the 50s, and that's when he decided to go ahead and
St.
go into
Louis
business.
was growing at that time.
Right, big home, and he had a lot of home builders that he was friends with, and so there were probably 6 or 8 home builders that he did all their driveways. So that kept him busy at least the first couple years of their business.
Well, something I was actually just thinking of. How did he go from driving for Woolsey Guides to kind of hobnobbing with other owners?
Dad at first was a truck driver for my mother's father, Grandpa, and that's where he met Mom. And Grandpa eventually put him in the office to help estimate, and he liked that and started doing that. And then as a couple of years progressed doing that, he could see that my mom's brother was going to be coming on board, and probably Dad wouldn't have that same position anymore. And so that's when he started thinking about going into business for himself.
Taking them out of business.
Yeah. And taking a few employees with him, which
Same thing happens today.
which was uncomfortable a little bit in the family. When I was a kid, I remember sometimes my mom and I would go over and see Grandma and Grandpa, and Dad wouldn't go. But eventually, after about a year or so, Grandpa decided this is crazy. It's family, and we can all survive. So I got back together. Yeah, in the early days, actually, when my parents first started the business, Dad approached my mom about going into business for himself, and the selling point for my mom was that he said, well, if she kept the books, he would take her out to dinner every Friday night, and she wasn't going to get a salary, but she would get a free dinner on Friday nights. And so they would go to that was the deal. And we had some friends we'd go to Ron Carroll's with, which was a restaurant in Rock Hill, Missouri, a little steakhouse. So that was always fun. So, and then there's a station, a standard station, a friend of Dad's, Vern Olson. And it was a standard station up on Brentwood and Manchester. And so that's where he parked the equipment, which was 2 old dump trucks, a spreader box, a roller, and probably like a Ford N9 tractor with a blade on the back. And so that's where that was their yard at the time.
I saw a picture of, well, I saw a spreader box a couple months ago. I think I sent you a picture of it.
Yeah, yeah,
People don't know what an asphalt spreader box is. Look it up. It chains up to the back of the trucks. That's what I used
right,
to pave tennis courts with.
right. And it was kind of hard to separate work from home, and so
It still is.
it's, it's so that's when he bought an old bi-state bus and converted it to an office and drug it down into Rock Hill on my grandfather's property. And I wish we had I've been looking for a picture of that old bus because I remember it was my job. I was 8 or 9 years old as we painted that old bus silver. And so this old 1930s bus was the office.
This would have been in the 50s. So good
It,
paint.
it was probably 58, yeah. Because we started in 56, 57, then I think in 58 is when they moved to Rock Hill. And then in 1960, Dad found this property in Brentwood. It was an old streetcar right away. And I think there's 3 or 4 acres. And he bought that property. And it was down near Deer Creek in a kind of a floodplain. So he brought in a bunch of dirt and built up a place. And he had a metal garage at Rock Hill. He moved that down Brentwood or Manchester Road on a Sunday morning and put it up on that mound of dirt and then built a little office in front of it.
I think, what was it his dad or her dad was there watching?
That was my dad's Grandpa West.
Okay.
Yeah, he was I think he was probably 62 or 3 at that time. And yeah, we've got a picture which hopefully
You
we'll
can see
get.
the guys pushing up the power
Yeah,
lines.
yeah.
At least wood poles, not metal poles.
Yeah, they had to take poles to push up the power lines as we went down Manchester Avenue with
Yeah.
that old metal building.
Right past
So
St. Mary Magdalene.
yeah, and of course it was in Brentwood from 1960 to 2020 for 60 years.
Did the bus go over there or just that
No,
metal shop?
I guess they junked that out. No, they junked that out. No, they brought that shop. It was just a corrugated metal shop building, and then built a wood frame structure on the front of it for the office. Did not use the bus anymore, but the
There's
bus
quite a bit of land there then for probably the equipment they had.
Oh yeah, it was more than enough, more than enough. But eventually, as the years went by, we
Wasn't
bought
enough.
more equipment. Challenges would probably be, from Dad's point of view, it was making payroll and making sure the customer, the builders he worked for, he was able to get paid right away because the material suppliers wanted their checks, and of course then the builders wanted lien waivers to make sure that Dad had paid for the materials. So that was always kind of a rush back and forth between the bank and the builders and the employees and the vendors. The cash flow was a big.
And for that type of work, it's still the same today. I mean,
Right.
And typically that pays 90 or 120 days.
Yeah. Well,
So-
back then, he couldn't. His very first job, he did a driveway for a guy. I'll remember, and the guy, he went with the invoice, and the guy was going to give him a check, and the guy said, "Well, where's my lien waivers?" Lien waivers? What's that? So I don't know exactly how he did it, but he was able to run back and forth and
Take the check.
get
I'll
paid.
bring it to you.
Yeah, yeah,
That's where conditional lien waiver came.
yeah.
On that note, something that I've heard my entire life was how, it was essentially number one importance to Mimi to get everyone paid on time, personnel, but also suppliers.
Right, and I think that's something that, she prided herself on paying those bills, not just in 30 days, but
Right when they
within
got
the
it.
30 days.
Yeah.
And we've had a lot of vendors over the years compliment us on, they're not worried about getting paid. In
We've
fact,
got timely pay, and
yeah,
most of the time we pay before we've been paid.
right. In fact, in 1986, when we had that fire, the office,
Yeah,
and you were what, five? What were you, 5 years old? 3 years,
4,
4 years old.
close.
The office burned to the ground, but my mom we had a fireproof safe, and so she'd already cut a bunch of checks, had them in the fire in the safe, was going to send them out on Monday, and we had a fire on a Friday night or Saturday night, I don't forgot which, and the office burnt to the ground. But still, like that next Monday or Tuesday, Mom opened up the safe, and the checks they were okay. They were a little charred on the edges, but they were okay. And so she sent them out, and right away we had a call from Bus and Quarry, just, really not laughing, but so happy and proud that
Your office burned down. You're still paying
yeah,
us.
the lady that received the accounts payable took this check into Mark Bussin and said, "Look at this. They've just had a fire, and here's a check. It's a little burnt on the edges, but she'd sent those checks out."
It should still
And
deposit.
we had at that time, it would have been a perfect excuse not to pay bills for
Yeah.
30, 60, 90 days. So, I did, by the way, this is kind of off the record, but in that same fire, I had my personal property tax bill up on the wall in my office
To pay?
to pay, and I forgot all about it. And I get this past due notice from St. Louis County, and so I took a copy of the newspaper article about the fire and all that, and took it over there to show them and see if they'd give me any relief. Tough. No relief. That's your problem.
Should have put it in the safe.
I'd forgot about, with everything going on, I forgot about paying personal property or real
Was
property
that
taxes.
October?
The fire?
Yeah.
Fire was in December 7th.
Okay.
December 7th of 86.
Wasn't a distributor was part?
There was a distributor in the.
You guys were still paving then.
Yeah, well, we were actually shooting oil for another customer. And on the back of the truck is a propane tank to heat the oil. And we pulled it in the shop that night. It was cold outside, but wanted to keep it warm because that oil, it's emulsified asphalt, so it would if it froze, it would gone bad. So we pulled that distributor in, not thinking about that propane tank on the back of the truck. And there's a space heater for the shop right in that back corner there. So evidently what happened was, as that propane tank warmed up, the propane will expand, and there's a safety valve that kicks off and lets some of the gas out so it doesn't.
If it expands
and
too much.
evidently that popped off and let gas out just about the same time the furnace kicked on, and it started to fire.
Was the oil still hot the next day?
Yeah, it was plenty hot.
Did the truck burn to the ground?
Yeah. It was a just
Mess.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
Was the oil still in the tank?
Yeah.
Okay, so that
Yeah.
didn't.
No.
Because
No. We did have. I know the fire department was scared because in that old shop we had all kinds of containers of flammables that you didn't even think about, and they were exploding. And I remember, we were at a APWA meeting, a Christmas party, mom and I, and we had you kids. We had a babysitter for you kids, and I'm at this party and I get a call from the babysitter to call the city of Brentwood that they need to talk to you right away. And so I called the city of Brentwood, and all I could hear in the background was sirens going off. And they just said, if your place is on fire, you need to get over here right away. So
When the party ends, we'll be over.
yeah. No, I said, we're going to have to leave early. Sorry. So
There are plenty of instances, whether at night or weekends or whatnot. I mean, I remember a tanker flipping over or out west. I mean, this industry creates problems you don't even imagine.
yeah. That was at Thanksgiving. We on a Wednesday night going out to our farm in St. James, and one of our tankers, there was a lane drop on I-44 east and westbound where they were doing some work, and
It wasn't ours.
and No, and no, it wasn't ours. And a truck coming the other direction hit that concrete median barrier and knocked it into our driver's lane. He was going westbound, and so he swerved to miss that and went off on the shoulder and in the grass on the right hand side down there by Lone Elk Park and flipped the tanker over on its side. And then, of course, all the oil spilling out on the ground. And, we're driving out for the holiday weekend and everything was fine until I got a call about that. And luckily we hadn't even got to that point yet. So
You're
we
able-
stopped. Remember, we stopped. You kids were little.
I remember getting off and running the outer road and
We
seeing
ran
it.
the outer road and found the driver. He was banged up a little bit, but not too bad. And but then having to deal with the oil spill and
EPA.
truck and the holiday weekend, but we got it cleaned up the next day. In fact, some of the guys came in, we have some good employees that they'll do whatever it takes. And they came in on Thanksgiving Day and did the cleanup